Hey everybody, welcome on in to Sports Live in the 215. This is your Eagles and Chiefs Super Bowl 59 preview. And I'm also going to cover later in this video the 5 matchups to watch. So with that being said, first I just want to say thank you guys for all the support on the first episode of the My Life little mini docu series I started. It was there were so many positive comments. I really appreciate it, and the the next episode will involve sports more because it'll involve more of my life, and obviously sports is a huge part of my life. So be on the lookout for that, and let's get into this. Um, Obviously, rematch of the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Um, Largely the same cast of characters. Um, Primarily, there's some new additions on both sides. Both sides, obviously. Let's start with the Eagles. It, they've drafted Jalen Carter in the, I believe, the 2023 draft. Um, they they've also drafted I believe they've drafted Nolan Smith. In that same draft, they they signed Zach Bond in this past free agency. That is now what I believe maybe Howie Roseman's best non Saquon Barkley signing. Um, they they brought back C.J. Gardner Johnson. Excuse me. Um, they they've um I'm blanking on who else they've signed. Oh, they've signed um Jets former Jets first round pick Mekhi Becton to play guard, which according to Jeff Stoutland was Nick Sirianni's idea. It was like in training camp, he was like, let's try him out at guard for a few practices, and hey, like it's really worked, and they and their offense is better for it. Having Jalen run behind run behind two massive individuals whenever they use the quarterback run game, and obviously having Saquon run behind Mekhi and Lane primarily on that right side has been huge for our running offense. Um, so the obviously Mekhi Becton has been a big plus for for this offensive line, this offense in general, and it just shows that Jeff Stoutland knows how to develop offensive linemen. Um, if if maybe he was under any other offensive line coach, I don't know if he would have been as successful. I feel like there's some good offensive line coaches in the NFL, but I think Jeff Stoutland is the greatest offensive line coach I've ever seen. And it's crazy. He was hired when I was 11. Um and I'm 22 now. So he's been around a long time. And the Eagles are better for it. That's Chip. That's what I believe is Chip Kelly's cheat chief contribution to the Eagles is the hiring of Jeff Stoutland as the offensive line coach. Because if Kelly didn't have the relationship with Nick Saban, I don't know if, or maybe even the pre-existing relationship with Jeff Stoutland, I don't know if Chip Kelly would have hired him, because he's not a very personable guy. Although he did just get hired as offensive coordinator of the Raiders. So take that for what you will. And as far as the additions on the Eagles side, they added Quinyon Mitchell and to play outside, and he has shut down every number one receiver he's faced. They've been put on Guantanamo Bay, and he's just the I think he's the best, probably the best young corner. Maybe not the best young corner I've ever seen, but certainly the best rookie corner. And a guy who's a close number two to that is Cooper DeJean, one half of the exciting whites. Oh yeah, and one more thing about C.J. Gardner-Johnson is he brought back the swagger this defense desperately needed, and you could just see in 2023 how this defense struggled without his just his positive and upbeat nature, and just his confidence in himself and his teammates. And he's been to 3 NFC championships the past 3 years. That is wild to me, because he went to the NFC championship in Detroit, I believe. So yeah, he's been a welcome addition. Who else? Oh yeah. Is one of the more underrated additions. Maybe not for defense, but for special teams. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who has been as close to a special teams ace as there is in the NFL. I'll just give a quick cool little note. My former occupational therapist used to work at the daycare where Jeremiah Trotter Jr. went, and she said he was a bad kid, and once the Eagles drafted him, I said hopefully he's a bad kid to a bunch of running backs. So and with this year he's been great in kick coverage. So I feel like that's a net that's another great draft pick by Howie Roseman, and I'm excited to see if he gets if we lose Zach Bond, which I don't think we will, but if we do, maybe he'll get some starting reps in training camp, and if he does, I'm looking forward to seeing the guy sink or swim. If he's anything like his dad, I'm sure he'll swim though. Honestly, yeah. The Eagles have been great at drafting for the past few years. So, and obviously, last but not least, the signing of Saquon Barkley. He won Offensive Player of the Year last night, which is so well deserved. He was 101 yards shy of the rushing record set by Eric Dickerson in 1984, which is credited by many as the year that saved the NFL, because had all those records not been shattered, I don't think the public would would like care about the NFL as much. So that's something that's kind of interesting. And anyway, let's get to the Chiefs. The Chiefs have some of the same cast of characters as well. Mahomes, Kelsey, Pacheco, Mahomes, Kelsey, Pacheco, and they did supplement that core with some speed and veteran savvy in the offseason. Well, obviously, when they signed, or when they drafted Xavier Worthy, and when they signed Hollywood Brown to a 1-year deal, and I feel like I would say both the drafting of Xavier Worthy and the signing of Hollywood Brown has worked out, but Hollywood Brown has been hurt up until the last couple games of the 2024 season. So he's still kind of getting his legs under him. So that should be a certainly a matchup to watch. Whoever he will be lined up on, most likely Worthy is going to see. Worthy's going to probably see Quinion. So I would expect Hollywood Brown to see Darius Slay. So that could be a big matchup for to kind of decide the Super Bowl. And with that, let's get into matchups. These are my top 5 matchups to watch. Matchup number 1: Saquon Barkley versus the Chiefs' run defense. The Eagles' rushing offense is number 1 in the league. I want to say they average like 150 yards per game at least. That's their floor. And the Chiefs have struggled have struggled this year against the run, ranking in the bottom 5 in terms of run defense. So that's matchup number 1 to watch. And then for me, the second matchup I'm looking forward to is Andy Reid's offense versus Vic Fangio's defense. Both these coaches are seen as 2 of the best ever at their position. Andy Reid, head coach; Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun matchup to watch. But both guys are incredibly smart, and they know how to put their players in the right position. So I feel like whichever unit wins that matchup, the um the their team is going to win. Matchup number 3 is Jalen Hurts versus the Blitz. Jalen Hurts, in the 2024 season, has held on to the football. I want to say it was like 3.27 seconds on average. That by far is the lowest in all of the NFL. And Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, blitzes at a 47.9 rate. I got those stats per Fox Sports. So how Jalen handles the blitz and how Kellen Moore counters the blitz will be paramount to an Eagles victory. Matchup number 4 is Devontae Smith versus the Chiefs' number 2 corner, with Trent McDuffie occupying AJ Brown. I don't think AJ will have a big game. Trent McDuffie is one of the best corners in the NFL. However, whoever the Chiefs play opposite him has certainly struggled, and with the Chiefs' high blitz rate, as I mentioned, I that guy's gonna be in single coverage against Devontae. So you have to think that's advantage Eagles. And finally, my fifth and final matchup is the Eagles on 4th down. It's no secret that Jake Elliott has struggled this year. So I believe if the Eagles are going to win this game, they're going to need to convert some 4th downs and be extra aggressive, especially with Patrick Mahomes on the other sideline. It should be a fun game. Right now, and I'll maybe get more into this in my quick hits tomorrow. But right now, I see this as like a 35-31 type of game, like a really close, high scoring game. Yes, I know both defenses are good, but both offenses are just as good. So it should be a lot of fun to watch, and I certainly can't wait for it. Thank you guys for listening to this, and as always, go Birds.